my name is Hannah and I'm from the Audubon Center, here to lead you in the Meet a Plant activity. All you need is your Audubon Center journal or a sheet of paper and a pencil and an area where you can go outside, whether it's actually in a cottonwood forest or a park, maybe it's even your backyard. But as long as you can find a plant, you can do this activity. The first thing you need to do is open up your journal to a brand new page and title it Meet a Plant and put the date. Your directions for part 1. Pick a plant in your yard or some other place outdoors. Draw a picture of that plant in your journal, labeling at least 3 structures on the plant. Some of the structures you can identify are the bark, the stems, the leaves if they're already out, maybe some flowering parts. Right now though, a sign of spring are actually the buds. So I'm going to focus on this stick right here, this branch, and these nice little orange buds that are coming out, which will turn into fresh green leaves this spring. I've chosen to draw a cottonwood branch, and as you can tell, I'm not an artist and I don't expect you to be one either. The best thing you can do is just draw what you see. Just focus on the lines and the colors and things like that. So I have labeled what I've drawn because as scientists we always need to label, and I'm also about to label those 3 parts that we talked about earlier. And I talked about these buds earlier, so I'll label some of those. And remember, these buds are actually going to turn into some spring leaves, which are really exciting. I'm going to label it as a whole as a branch because that's the part of the plant I'm looking at. And another thing I can label is the bark. As you can see, I've added some texture to it because it's not perfectly smooth. If you actually feel your plant as you're drawing it, that'll help you out. Move on to part 2. So for this, every structure you labeled on your plant is unique to that plant and helps the plant survive in some way. Choose one structure and write a few sentences in your journal about how that structure helps the plant survive. Now, I'm not going to write it in my journal, we're just going to talk about it right now, but for your assignment you would be writing this underneath your plant drawing or maybe on a new page. So I want to talk about the bark. I drew this branch right here and I mentioned the bark, but if we look at the tree as a whole, the structures as a whole, this has some pretty intense bark, don't you think? It's really rigid and hard, and I would write that this bark helps protect the tree, not only from weather elements. Here in Montana, you know how extreme the weather can get, but it can also protect the inside of the tree, which is where all the nutrients and water get transported, from insects that might want to eat it or birds or something like that. So the bark is really important for protection, whether it's from diseases, insects, or weather. Part 3. During the fall field trip, you learned how different American Indian tribes in Montana use plants for food, medicine, and materials. Each tribe has unique uses for the plants that grow in their area. For example, Alma Snell, a Crow medicine woman, says that cactus stems are edible if you remove all the thorns. In a few sentences, write how you think the plant you journaled about could be used by people. Once again, it's okay not to know the correct answer. It's just an educated guess. So I know a little bit about cottonwood, but if I didn't, I know they're really big trees, right? So if we think about those food, medicine, and material uses, I would guess that cottonwood could be used as a material, whether it's for firewood or building. Now, I do know that Lewis and Clark were taught by local American Indian tribes to make dugout canoes out of these giant cottonwood trees that grow near the rivers.